Wow. Damian Lillard traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a better day than Heat fans are. So what I'm going to do for this trade, because it is very complicated, it's a 3-team trade, I'm going to do 3 separate videos covering the impact this trade has for each team. And of course, we're going to start with the Milwaukee Bucks because they're the ones that got Damian Lillard. So in this 3-team trade, the Bucks gave up Grayson Allen, Drew Holiday, a 2029 first-round pick. We don't know the protection on this pick yet, which is really important, and also pick swaps in the years 2028 and 2030. And of course, they receive Damian Lillard. So the most important thing we should talk about first is Damian Lillard's fit in Milwaukee. And the fit is phenomenal. There's really no need to go too in depth on how he fits in Milwaukee because Damian Lillard is as polished and all-around offensive player as you'll find in the NBA. The one glaring weakness in Giannis's game is his own perimeter shot creation. And what you saw with Milwaukee last year in the regular season as well as in their first-round playoff loss to the Heat is that oftentimes they had trouble creating offense. 3 years ago when they won the championship, that role was filled by Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton had an awesome playoff run that year when they won the championship and played at an easy all-star level, if not an all-NBA level. However, in the last few years, Chris Middleton has had a bunch of injuries, and last year, even when he was healthy, he looked downright awful. Given his age and injury history, it is very unclear if Chris Middleton can ever get back to that level. And my instinct is to say that no, he can't. So with that in mind, Damian Lillard is exactly the kind of player that the Milwaukee Bucks needed. Because you want to talk about a guy in the NBA who can create his own shot from the perimeter, who the coach can draw up a 3-point play for with 2 seconds left on the clock and have full confidence in. The list goes Steph Curry and then Damian Lillard. It is very obvious the fit here is excellent. There's really no need to analyze it further. What I do want to also talk about though is that the Milwaukee Bucks now might have a depth issue, a slight depth issue. So Drew Holiday for Damian Lillard, Damian's going to replace all of Drew's minutes. We get that. They also shipped away Grayson Allen. Now, regardless of what you think about Grayson Allen as a player, I know a lot of fans think he downright stinks. Regardless of what you think of him as a player, in the past 2 years in Milwaukee, Grayson Allen has averaged 27 minutes per game for them. And in the playoffs, his minutes per game actually go up to around 30 per game. So he's been a very important part of their team for the past 2 years. The Bucks did not get back any other players in this trade. So who is going to fill those minutes? So here's what I've got so far. On the Bucks roster, there are 4 guys who are guaranteed starters. You have Damian Lillard, Giannis, Chris Middleton, and Brook Lopez. When those 4 guys are healthy, they're in the starting lineup guaranteed 100%. Who's going to be the 5th starter? Now, my guess is that it's going to be Marjon Beauchamp. Marjon Beauchamp was a rookie for them last year, had some injuries throughout the season, so didn't quite play a full season, but started some games, showed some flashes. So let's assume Beauchamp takes that leap and he can be that 5th guy in the starting lineup. Then you have Pat Connaughton coming off the bench. Okay, we know who he is at this point. He's been with the team for forever. Good 3-and-D player. And then Bobby Portis, a great backup big man to have. So that's great. That's your 7 guys. You need more than that. I've heard people talk about this idea that for playoff teams, when you're deep into a playoff run, you only need 7 rotation guys. That's just flat out not true. It is extremely rare in NBA history that a team actually only played 7 players significant minutes in the playoffs en route to winning a championship. It's rare. It's rare. Even the Denver Nuggets last year had a very tight playoff rotation. Even they needed 8 guys, right? Their 7th guy was Jeff Green and their 8th guy was Christian Brown. And they needed good quality minutes from both Green and Brown to win that championship. The Miami Heat last year had 10 players play significant minutes for them against the Denver Nuggets in that final series. And their 10th best guy in terms of minutes played was Cody Zeller. And Cody Zeller was so awful during the entire playoff run, but especially against the Celtics and Nuggets. He was so bad that if their 10th guy was better than Cody Zeller, they legitimately could have had different results in some of those games. So all that to say that it's not just your top 7 that matters. You do need depth beyond 7 people. So when I look at the rest of the Milwaukee Bucks roster, honestly, outside of those 7 guys, it looks really, really gross. They signed Malik Beasley. Okay, Malik at least has played a lot of minutes in the NBA, but this is also a guy who lost the trust of the Lakers coaching staff last year down the stretch, did not play any significant playoff minutes, just fell out of the rotation. They signed Robin Lopez, who, okay, it's great for team chemistry. You got Robin and Brooke Lopez on the same team, but Robin Lopez also barely played any minutes for the Cleveland Cavaliers last year, and he's 35 years old. Thanasis Antetokounmpo, professional cheerleader, don't even need to analyze his game. Jay Crowder looked completely washed last year as a player. AJ Green playing the wrong sport. They also got Ty Washington. Ty Washington played 30 games for the Rockets last year and put up some of the worst offensive shooting efficiency numbers you will ever see in your lifetime. I'm not joking, by the way. Ty Washington was in the 30-20-50 club. I'm talking like 30% from the field, 20% from three, and 50% from the free throw line. By the way, that's a 6'3" point guard shooting 55% from the free throw line. I hope he doesn't get any minutes. I don't even know why he's on an NBA roster, to be honest with you. And then you have the two second round pick rookies that the Bucks drafted this year in 2023, Andre Jackson and Chris Livingston. I don't watch college basketball that much, so I really do not have an informed take on either of those players. So we'll just see if they can contribute meaningful minutes. So I'm not overly concerned about this, but this is something to pay attention to for sure. And when I watch the Bucks play this year in the first half of the season, the thing that I'm going to be looking out mostly is who's their 7th, 8th, 9th guy. After this trade, I think the Bucks unequivocally should be viewed as the title favorites. I mean, in my mind, before this trade happened, I had 5 teams in the NBA that I thought were clear-cut title favorites above all the other teams, and those were Milwaukee, Boston in the Eastern Conference, and then Phoenix, LA, and Denver in the Western Conference. And now, in my mind, Milwaukee has jumped all of them, and Vegas agrees. So I'm looking at FanDuel Sportsbook right now. They have Milwaukee as the title favorites at plus 360. They have Boston and Denver right behind Milwaukee at around plus 500. They have the Suns a little bit behind them at plus 600. And they have the Lakers as the 5th title favorites at plus 1400. The other question mark we have to talk about is Adrian Griffin. So they fired Mike Budenholzer and they hired Adrian Griffin, who has never been a head coach in the NBA. So he's a big question mark. But this is not something that I'm going to hold against them necessarily. I think, especially in recent history, we have seen plenty of examples of coaches in their first year do really well, take a team to the finals, and even win the championship. So I don't think it's impossible at all that Adrian Griffin can win the championship in his first year as a head coach. It's just the jury is still out. You just never know. Like, maybe he's terrible. In the bigger picture, the other thing that I do want to talk about is that, you know, this offseason, Giannis has made a lot of comments about his future in Milwaukee. And I think the comments that Giannis made didn't startle me as much as it did a lot of other people in the NBA sphere, because I feel like Giannis is a different kind of superstar than most superstars, you know, partially because of his international background and just his personality and temperament. Giannis has always struck me as an NBA superstar that is a lot more honest than other NBA superstars. Just in the sense that whenever he's asked a question, he almost never gives you the dry PR answer. He really just tells you how he feels. And so when he said, like, yeah, you know, I just want to be in a place where I can win the championship. And, you know, if that's Milwaukee, it's Milwaukee. If it's not Milwaukee, it's not Milwaukee. I didn't feel any type of way about it because, honestly, I think a lot of NBA stars feel that way. They're just not going to say it that directly because they just, you know, they're more PR trained, I suppose. Even with all that being said, Giannis very clearly put pressure on the Milwaukee Bucks. And I think the Bucks responded in a terrific manner. You know, they saw the opportunity here to get a massive upgrade at a position, and they did it. And this is, of course, a risk, right? Damian Lillard is 33 years old. Whenever you have a player that old, you have to worry about injuries. You have to worry about them declining and losing a step. And also, you know, Damian Lillard has a long, massive contract. So that couples with the injury risk, with the age risk. But when you have a generational all-time player like Giannis, this is unquestionably the path you should take when you have the opportunity. The other thing I will mention, though, is that they did give up some pretty significant draft equity in this. It might not seem like a lot, but because their first round pick that they gave up is in 2029, which is 5 years, well, 6 years, depending on how you look at it, from now, I mean, there's no guarantee what's going to happen to the Milwaukee Bucks in 2029. That's just way too far out. It's too hard to predict NBA teams that far out. So I haven't seen the report yet on what the protections on that pick are. If that is at least like top 10 protected, I think that's fine. But if that is unprotected, I would be a little bit worried as a Bucks fan. Even all that being said, even with the 2028 and 2030 pick swaps, which could also be very valuable, I think this is the right move. And I am so excited for this new NBA season. I'm so excited to watch Damian Lillard play on Milwaukee, and I'm excited to see Damian Lillard deep into a playoff run. I mean, I would love to see the Milwaukee Bucks at least make the NBA Finals just to give Damian Lillard the chance to show himself on the final stage what he can do in big moments. So I'm super excited. And like I said, I will be making videos on what this trade means for the Phoenix Suns and the Portland Trail Blazers, because it's also worth talking about. They also made some pretty big moves for those two teams. So I hope you guys enjoy this. I'll see you soon for the other two breakdowns of the other two sides of this trade.